All right. Recording. Perfect. Okay. So the last element in Chinese medicine is the fire element. The fire element is very, very different than the rest of the others because instead of just having two organs, this one actually has 4 different designations. So it does have 2 organs just like every other element, but there is an extra element to it, which we will totally go over. So first things first, so when it comes to the fire element, the most important organs that we focus on is going to be the heart and the small intestine. So the heart is going to be the yin side of it. Small intestine is going to be the yang side of it. I know. It's time, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I apologize. He sees my hands in motion and then he wants to be pet.
No worries.
So, anywho, I love him though. So the time for the heart is between 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then the small intestine follows it from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. The color of fire is going to be red. And the time of year it is associated with is the summer. The emotions that you have with fire. So we have that emotion of being joyful, but there is a fine line between being joyful and overfilled with joy, meaning where we're just thinking everything's hunky-dory when it's not. So it's just like everything's fine all the time. So we're looking at the word joy here, but still in a space where it's like over joyful. So keep that in mind, because what we're wanting to balance out and have in fire is tranquility. So think about it, when the fire's getting all intense inside of you, or if it's getting all intense outside, what are we gonna wanna do? Either contain it, because I don't like the word control as much, but we contain it or we can put it out. And the way you're gonna do that is simmering it down somehow. Now, we don't wanna always put the fire out, but we wanna have it under control where we're feeling passion, we're feeling confident about ourselves, but we're not letting the ego get in the way and being, my one word, condescending. And the joy factor, because what you're gonna notice with people, the sound that they have in their voice is gonna be overly joyful, or they'll sound like they're giggling 24/7. So the sound on them is laughter. They love things that are bitter when they're out of balance. So like burnt breads or something really, really overdone. So people who scorch things, like think things on fire. The sense organ that we associate with the fire is going to be your tongue. The climate, you can just assume, since it's the summertime, think normal summer, wherever summertime is for you, it's gonna be hot out, usually. I know some places don't get super hot in their summer times. And think about the energy of fire. It radiates, it goes out in all different directions. So the movement in fire is like up and out, so all around us. So we'll just say it's radiating energy. So just think of a fire, up, out, and all around. So these are the basics of the fire element, that it's good for you to kind of just understand these, just like all the other elements. This is like a guideline. There's always exceptions to every rule, you know, just because I'm one of those people, I totally admit, I laugh everything off. I giggle all the time. I might have a little bit of a fire imbalance, but I also just think it's my personality sometimes, because I do find joy in most moments, and it's not in a negative way, but it comes out in laughter. Maybe the Chinese do think I'm a little deficient in it, or over excessive, I believe. That's all right. I'll take it. We all have our work down here. So when we talk about having deficiencies in the fire, that would be in the yin factor. So yin deficient. If they were yin deficient in feeling the fire within them, think about it. When your fire's out, you would feel fatigued, maybe a little sluggish. What's that word? Lethargy. So like people are lethargic, like they have no drive to do anything. So think even fire, I'm even going to associate it to the solar plexus. Think of the elements of the solar plexus, which we'll get deeper into today. So think about if your fire is out, maybe you're not feeling centered emotionally. That happens because that's like a foundation as well as the root. So think about the solar plexus as your power, but you still want to be rooted in your power. If you're yin deficient in your fire, you are going to be underconfident. So maybe someone gives you a compliment and you start turning red. That's how you know it's a fire deficiency. They start turning red in the face. So they blush easily. Usually fire elements are very sprightly, open, talking, jumping, all of that fun energy. So if they're yin deficient, you're going to sound them like kind of sound like a droning, like, I have to get up. It's not as much as an Eeyore type sound. It's just very droning. Let's see, what else? A fear of rejection. So just think back, linking a fire to confidence as well. So instead of going up to just take a chance on something, they're not even going to do it because they already think they're going to be rejected. And then if you are not feeling the fire in your body, which this element relates to multiple chakras, but if you're not feeling the fire element, the one thing that will suffer in this area with the fire element is the sexual arousal. Sorry. So think about people who are lackluster or someone who doesn't feel comfortable being intimate with somebody. So intimacy is another thing as well. If you can't feel intimacy, you're not going to feel connected, and then you're not going to be able to find that connection sexually either. If you have too much fire in your body, maybe like me today, because I've drank a lot of coffee today. So think yang excessive. So jittery, hyper excited, restless energy. But also, if they have too much fire in them, they say that this can relate to people who are diagnosed, as I say, as manic depressives. So someone who has depression in their body, but it comes out of nowhere. And they call that manic depression. They say when you have too much fire in you, that can happen. Now, why? Because if you have a fire about something and you're so excited about it, and you're going full throttle into it, and somehow you get a hauling stop, they don't go from, oh, nice try. They felt like they put their whole life into it. So they're immediately going to feel rejected, go down and be like, man, and they could feel that depressive feeling. So manic depression is more of unexpected. So there is somewhat of a trigger, but it's a lot more uncontrolled in some senses in the medical field. For us, we just know that it's something that's triggered inside of our body for the most part. What else here? If there's also a fire imbalance in the body, too much, so think too much energy. So I might have said this before, if not, I don't like to label anybody depressed or anxious or having anxiety. And the reason being is because everybody has the depression feelings that run through them and the anxiety feelings that run through them. All that is is a surge of an overwhelming feeling in the body. So anxiety and depression can also come from a fire imbalance. So think if you have too much fire in the body, that's high energy. It's all going like this at once. That would be those anxiety attacks or those anxiety feelings that people have. Now, if you go down the rabbit hole really quick because your fire starts going out, like someone just threw a bucket of water on you, that's where those depression feelings come from. So having too much and then having it taken right out, or having too much, can create anxiety and depression. So also thinking, if you have too much fire, you probably don't have as clear thoughts as you should. So maybe you speak out of context, you speak irrationally, loudly, maybe you insult people for no reason or get slighted or ignorant. That all can do with too much fire in you. So inappropriate behavior. What I do like to point out, because I'm totally guilty of this, is inappropriate laughter. So like something could be horribly going wrong in front of everybody, but someone starts laughing. It's not a bad thing. It's just that they don't know how to control the emotion that's going on inside of them. So it can come up like that. This also can be related, the inappropriate laughter, to grief. So everybody's lost somebody or knows somebody who's lost somebody, but you can see it. Like I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but think about when you're at a celebration of life. So I don't like to call it a funeral. A lot of people do, but everybody's sad, kind of moping around, and then someone shares a memory or a thought. But for some reason to them, it's sad and sentimental, but you remember something totally different and hilarious about it. We've all done it. And then everybody's like, why is that person laughing? Because we all grieve in a different way. And it'll be those moments when people will be like, I don't know why I'm laughing right now. And it's like, and I always say, it's cool, just let it out. It's emotion leaving you regardless. So let it all come hang out. I know a lot of people say that about other people. They're like, that is something not to laugh at. Don't say that to people. Sometimes they just laugh because they don't know what else to do, or it just came out of nowhere. It's the same concept of somebody who says, I can't stop crying, or I keep crying out of nowhere. It's okay. You know, we don't always need a rhyme or reason. Just acknowledge what's going on and release it. The last thing is, if you have too much fire energy, you might have a fear of public speaking because of all the other elements we've talked about before. So your fear of public speaking because you're either going to be too jittery, can't get your thoughts together, start jumbling over your own words, things like that. So that's when they have too much fire within them. Now, when you're balanced in fire, you're going to be passionate, you're going to be radiant, meaning, you know, you just radiate good energy, good vibes. You'll be more of a people person. You'll be affectionate, very vivacious, able to put yourself out there, energetic, even a little spontaneous in a positive way, not like ditching people, but like spontaneous, like, woo, let's have a good time. Go have this fun thing that we weren't planning to do today. But also they can be overly emotional, not in a negative way, just want to be affectionate, and they want to help you, and they want to coddle you a little bit. It's not a negative thing, but they are definitely going to be your extroverts. So when you see someone that is fired up and is an extrovert, a people person, a lot of the extroverts are going to be the fire element, and a little bit of wood as well. And then you'll see other ones can be more introvert. But we are all a balance of all five. I tell everybody that when it comes to the elements, you are going to have your one where you're like, that one I associate with a ton. I get imbalanced and out of balance in that all the time. And then you're going to look at one where you're like, not my favorite time of year. Yeah, that's not really what I like to deal with. Well, with the 5 elements, what's so interesting about Chinese medicine is that you don't have to be picking one over the other or taking this element to balance out the other. With the 5 elements, it's more about learning to work with the element in the time of year that we're at. So when I talk about people wanting to be fire, think about all the things I said you want to be. You want to be radiant, you want to be out, you want to be running around. That's the summertime. That's when everybody wants to be the most social. They want to be out among their friends, things like that. And then after this, we're going to go into the fall season, which is going to be the metal season. And this is more where people are getting a little bit more content. You know, they start grieving certain things, like the summer's over is mainly everybody's complaints. But it's more of like, it's a new transition. It's that time for us to let go of everything that no longer serves us. So it's learning to how to work with these elements at the certain times of year. It's not the opposite way around. So people were gonna know when they learn all of these elements, they're gonna be like, I struggle that time of year. That's not my time of year. Well, now, you know certain elements, now you can kind of figure out why it's not that time of year for you. So taking those maps of every single element that we have learned. So to summarize a little bit of everything. So think about each time of year. So I'm just gonna do like a little quick review of all the 5 elements that go together. So I'm gonna start with the fire right now because that's where it wants me to go. So this is where we're at. So we just came out of summer. We're just about to come out. So I think it's in like 2 weeks. So once this element and gotten all of this out of our system, if we find balance in doing these things in each season, you're not gonna get those dis-eases according to Chinese medicine. You're not going to get out of balance in any season because you're going to know the tools to get you in balance as well. All right. So the season we're going into is going to be the fall season. So this is where we're going to have the metal element. Now think, the fall is in a lot of places where a lot of people start getting those upper respiratory infections. It is everywhere. It's just when people get sick this time of year. The fall is when everybody's like, oh, this is the flu season, this is this season, whatever it may be. This is why, because the lung and the large intestine are what goes along with this season. And some people who don't know how to deal with their grief, this is how it's going to show up in the fall. So it's going to be that. And then think about it. It's your nose, the lungs. So it's going to be that whole upper respiratory area. So we want to make sure this time of year, we're definitely dealing with our grief. So feeling that energy and breathing in and out of our lungs and bringing more chi into the body. Then after we go into the fall, that's when we go into our winter time. And this is when, think, the bears, certain animals, they hibernate. We should be doing the same. Now, I know that we all still have to go to work and do our thing, but the winter is really about going inward and realizing what makes us brave, what makes us us, what's on the other side of fear. Can I sit in stillness and sit with my fears and find the courage to work through stuff? Yes, but we have to sit with our fears and we have to sit with those uncomfortable emotions to understand what we are meant to be and who we are meant to be. So finding that courage to be authentic. So in the wintertime, this is where we have to find activities to still allow us to connect inward with us and allow us to break through our fears without getting too pushed into the ground or sad or whatever people find to happen during that time of year. It's the ear time of year. So listening, we want to be listening during the winter time. What do we need? So taking that time to reconnect into the world. Then after we transition from there, you're going into that wood element, you're going to the spring. So after we just took all that time to find our authenticity, to find what we want to face our fears from, the spring comes. So it's time to plant those seeds now. So plant all the seeds that you want. What is it that is going to make you see more clearly? Be you, be grounded in this earth. So then we plant all the seeds in the springtime and then we practice patience. So then we practice the patience of letting the seeds grow in their own time. So remember, it all takes a cycle. So this whole elemental cycle this is exactly what it's teaching us. For us to go within, for us to do, every part of life is broken down into seasons. Now, can you make this stuff manifest quickly by understanding that there's 5 elements to everything that we do? Yeah. You don't have to wait a whole year to manifest something. That's not what it's saying. It's showing us a cycle that if you take all 5 elements and bring them together and allow it to sit in the manifestation of what you want, it'll come to fruition. Remember, in Chinese medicine, they do not diagnose. They do not do anything of that fashion. They will just tell you that it's that time where you just need to find where the energy is being stagnant, not stuck, stagnant. Whew, let's see here. Aha. Then after your lovely time of year of the springtime, that's when we come into the fire element, which I misinterpreted earlier. I'm sorry. So the fire element is until August. It's September. So we are definitely into late harvest. So I will get there. I apologize. So we go from the springtime and then we come into the fire time, which is what we just came out of. Where we are right now is we are in late summer, so Indian summer. So after we get through the fire and we burn everything away, we connect back into the earth. So we go into the earth element before we go into the metal element. So right now we are worrying about, well, this makes total sense now that I'm saying this. So right now is the time where everybody is finding their compassionate side, their loving side. Where can we let go of all of our worry? So right now we're in a stage where everybody is finding that love and that compassion for everybody. And we are dealing with the stomach and the spleen right now. So think about how people would feel in the Mother Earth element with the stomach this time of year. So a lot of people get stressed this time of year. It's back to school time. It's a new job. I'm starting school. So this time of year is definitely correlated exactly to the earth element. We have to make sure we ground here. This is where we need to ground in order to move into the metal element, which is where we started this conversation, where we're going to go into that upper respiratory time of year. So right now, a lot of people are going to be craving sweets probably if they're out of balance. But the most important thing is that we want to realize when we are in this energy, this is where the dampness is. This is where we start seeing some rain and allowing things to get all the nutrients it needs before we move into the grief and contentment part. So feeling that sweet compassionate of life. So appreciating, having gratitude right now, feeling that earth element, gratitude for Mother Earth and everything on Mother Earth. And then in a few weeks is when we shift into the metal. So it is right. So I forgot that there were 2 summer elements. That was my bad. I didn't forget. I just trying to follow my guidelines. I'm still getting lost. So remember that with earth energy, it's going downward. So we're grounding. So we're laying the anchors before we go into the metal season. So if we're not feeling grounded before we go into the season of grief, it's going to be a tough fall for a lot of people. This is why right now it's really important to make sure we're grounded, we're eating the right things for our body, we're nourishing ourselves as we need as we move into the next element. Reminding ourselves, there's my last note here, that we're always in the creative process. We're making a generation, so we're generating in this process. We are always going to worry about the 5 elements in the 5 elemental theory of the creative or generating process. There is another process, but that's for more deep Chinese medicine and learning how to balance within the elements. So reminding ourselves that water creates and generates wood. So rain nourishes a tree. Wood creates, generates fire. Burning wood generates a fire. Fire creates and generates earth. So ashes created from the fire. Earth creates, generates metal. Metal is mined from the earth. And then metal creates and generates water because water condenses on metal. So, like I've said before, your overall health and your overall life is controlled, needs to be balanced in the 5 elements. So if it's not just the element, think about, we need balance in our heart, we need balance in all of our organs, we need balance in our body all times a day. Our body clock is the most interesting thing in the world. If you're not feeling well at the same time of day, if you're waking up the same time of day, if you're feeling a ping inside of you or something is saying hello to you every day at a certain time of day, it is letting you know exactly where we need to look into. So we are our best healers. So understanding where we feel things and then using these charts to kind of help ourselves create that balance or connect within to find that balance. One thing in life that is truer than true is that if you believe and put energy behind anything and you allow it to ground in you, radiate within and around you, if you allow it to just be you, you literally take in all the elements of your manifestation. This is what creates balance and allows things to connect and come to fruition. So we are capable of having anything, healing ourselves if we take the time and energy to. I'm not saying that we are our own healers at all times just because of legal purposes. There are medical doctors that need to diagnose you and let you know what is going on within. I'm not a medical doctor, but I do practice Chinese medicine. I do have Chinese medicine practitioners I go to. And this is what I believe in, because anywhere in the body, energetically, if it's out of balance, we need to find a balance. So reconnecting them within. Woo! Good stuff. All right. Where is my, sorry. Questions about the 5 elements?
So we have, just to have a quick recap, we have winter for water,
Yes.
and summer for earth and fire.
So summer is fire, and then we call it late summer for earth.
Great, okay. And spring is wood.
Spring is wood, yes.
And metal is fall, correct?
Correct.
Yes, okay, I'm there.
And then, listen, I'm not doing this for the, whatchamacallit. I am actually typing this stuff up and making like a mini manual about my Chinese medicine and my chakras. I can't promise it's going to be out in the next like 2 weeks, but I can promise it will be done by the end of the month because my friend is actually helping me type my stuff up. So you will have everything that I've spoken to. It is handwritten in my book. We just got to get it into a PDF. I just couldn't remember what I was saying. PDF, let me see here. I'm just checking the time. Perfect. I just don't want this to shut off on me like it did the one time. All right. So that is for the 5 elemental theory. And today, our next topic that we are going to start on, because I figured you would like to do this one live, is the chakras. I get very excited, so be warned. All right. Now, with the chakras, we're going to talk about the energy bodies in the body. So you have in yoga, when we speak about the energy body, this is going to include all of the energetics of the body. So you have your the chakras, which are the wheels within, which are like our emotional bodies, the circles that move along the spinal area. So also known as Sushumna, when it is connected with Ida and Pingala in the nadis. So think the energy body, because we will go over every single one. We're going to start with chakras, but we also have the nadis in the body, which are also known as meridians in Chinese medicine. So all the energetic lines are the energetic map of the body. In yoga, we also have the koshas. So that's the energy around the body, so connect within. And then we also have the vayus, which is the way that the pranayama energetically moves in the body as well. So the energetic directions of pranayama. So just an overview on the chakras before we go into each one. We're going to start with the crown and work our way down. So when you start with the chakras, you're thinking of the 7th chakra. We're only going to go over 7 chakras. There are way more many in the body if you'd like to dive in deeper. But the 7 we are going to focus on is you have your crown chakra, which is right above your head, and it's about cognition, so thought, consciousness, and to know things. So it's all about self-knowledge. So think about if you have self-knowledge and you're connecting with consciousness, the opposite thing that we don't want in the chakra is attachment. So these are our little summaries before we dive in. Your 6th chakra is known as your 3rd eye chakra, where we go in for our intuition. It's the light, the luminescence within ourselves. So it's to see our archetypal inside the body and without. So our ancestors, our DNA, and the maps within as well. So self-reflection. So when we connect with the 3rd eye, we're connecting within. The thing that is going to stop us from connecting is having the thought of illusion that we are not connected in the intuition in our own body. So you move down to the 5th is your throat chakra, which is your communication. So the sound, vibration, to speak, self-expression. The thing that's going to cloud this up is lies. Next, you move down to the 4th, which is your heart chakra, the love center. So it's the air, it's having equilibrium within the body. So to love and self-acceptance. And what clouds here would be grief. Moving down, you're going to have your power, your solar plexus, the fire within the body. So to act, where we can have the ego talking. So self-definition in that area. And what clouds that up is going to be shaming. Shaming of ourselves and shaming of others. Then you move down to your sacral, which is down in this area. And it's going to be the sexuality chakra. So it's going to be water, and it's going to be about balance and polarity. So to feel emotion. So feeling self-gratification in this area. So feeling the pleasures of life. And what clouds here is also feeling a lot of guilt. So guilt in the sacral area. And then you have your root, which is your survival, the earth. Gravitational is what we were looking for. So feeling that connection from top to bottom. To be here now. This is the physical identification of yourself. So self-preservation. You. Who are you? Haha. Just kidding. We're working from the ground up. I wanted to start that top down, apparently, though. So we're going to get into the root to start.
I have a question.
Sure.
What is clouding the root chakra?
What is clouding the root chakra? I fear, sorry.
Fear. Okay, cool.
Fear. My bad.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you for keeping me on top of things. Appreciate it. So your first chakra is going to be your root chakra. The element is going to be earth. So remember, as we talk about the chakras, this is different than Chinese medicine. So, not to get you all messed up now, but now if you're working as a Chinese medicine practitioner and you figure out what kind of energy is being congested in the body, and you're like, oh, it's guilt. Well, in Chinese medicine, it's in one part of the body, but energetically, it's going to hold in another part of the body as well. So knowing both maps of the body is going to get you back to balance. So one or the other is going to associate with you more, just so you know. The color of the root chakra is going to be a nice, beautiful red. Let's see. And like I said, this is about self-preservation. So taking care of yourself is being grounded. Taking care of yourself and making sure, self-preservation is making sure you're grounding and taking care of you before you can help anybody else. That is also going to go into other chakras as well. But think of it that way. If we can't ground and understand ourselves, most likely we're not going to be able to understand other people and the way that they operate either. So the one thing that we want to work through, like we just said, is fear is what clouds up this area. They call it the demon. I just thought that was funny. In the book that I studied, they're like, the demon of this chakra is fear. And I was like, okay, so the cloudiness that comes in. So now the congestion is going to come from fear. Now this fear can be anything. The fear could be something so small, it could be big. And one thing that we're going to have to remember in every chakra, some of the remnants of this kind of energy can come from our parents and our ancestors. I tell people this because a lot of people feel like they do a ton of work on themselves and then they still feel like things are happening in that state. They're like, I feel like I've done the work. I feel like I've really healed myself within. Well, then I come in as my other hat that I wear as an energy worker and a healer. And then I go in and then I kind of allow them to understand what their parents' big fear that they put on them their whole time. So an example for me would be, I never used to worry a lot. I was never a worry person. Like I'd always be like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Well, I had a father who worried about everything. And the more I hung out with him, the more I started noticing I was worrying about things that I never worried about, which was nuts to me. But this is where I say that like it's in you and you can balance it out. But if you start hanging out with that parent, sibling, grandparent again, they can bring that energy back up. So this is why this is so important to make sure you do self-care every day. Total side note. But the grounding, the foundation, that's why we do the yoga. Helps us start off our day. When you go to look where this is located, it's going to be at the base of the spine. So think right by the coccyx, so the end of the sacrum area. So right down in there. So the tailbone area and the sacrum. One thing to claim, so to be here, this is what we're claiming in the root chakra, to be here. So finding our foundation. So no fear, I deserve to be here. This is my place too, having those kinds of thoughts. So when you are going through this and developing your root chakra, this is why this is important to know that sometimes the energy you have to heal within you is also the energy you allowed others to put on you. Because when you are in developmental stages. So as you're growing as an actual human in the body, your second trimester, so second trimester to 12 months is when the root chakra starts to begin to develop. And this is because we come out of the womb and then we are learning to get on our own feet. So this is why people say, I don't know if this is true or not, I haven't had children, but a couple of my students have told me this is when students learn how to, or babies learn how to walk, is around a year. So that would make total sense. Some are a little longer, so every child is different, obviously. So when we are developing our root chakra, the task that we're bringing into the body, or what we're experiencing, is physical growth, our motor skills, and then, can't read my own hand. Oh, no, that's it, sorry. So your physical growth and your motor skills. So your foundations, basically. Now, what people are going to go through, so what things that can happen. So let's talk about the negative things that can happen in the body. So traumas to the body or abuses to the body. So I'm not going to write them all down because I am going to give you some suggested reading that has this all out for you. But I can also take little snappy snaps of my notes until I get this all written up for you. So traumas and abuses that can affect the root chakra. So think about it, developmental stages, second trimester, so birth. If someone has something happen to them at birth, whether they need assistance coming out or it's a C-section, so any kind of traumatic experience in the birth trauma. So physical neglect, abandoning your child in the first 12 months. So maybe children who have had mothers who had, what is that? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a total blank. I'm sorry, when they're not bonding with the baby. For some reason I can't think right now. So.
The postpartum.
Thank you, postpartum depression. Thank you. My brain just went, woo-hoo. It's okay though. So that, and from that, that's going to cause poor physical bonding. So with the mother. So this is where a lot of people that maybe get taken away from their parents or maybe can't see their mother at a young age. This is where some of these issues can begin to start for people, unfortunately. And once you hit 20 years old and you feel like you've done the work, but you don't really know what you've done the work on, sometimes we need to reevaluate where we're going with it. Let's see here. So, I love my neighbors, but they're a little loud. Okay, so other things. So think about this time, making sure they're eating right. That's what you have to make sure with the baby. So male nourishment can be connected. If they've had to have a surgery, things like that. But even throughout life. So if you have to have a traumatic surgery, that affects the root chakra. If you've had physical abuse anytime in your life, that's going to affect your root chakra. And also, like I said, you can also inherit traumas from ancestors as well, parents and grandparents. So when you are deficient in your root chakra, so deficient, make sure I'm there. So a couple things to remember, you're going to feel disconnected from your body. So people who, I don't know what to do with my body, I don't know how to get myself into shape, I don't know how to get myself to just sit down and stay still, things like that. That's a disconnection from the body. If they're deficient in their root chakra, a lot of times they'll look very underweight. They'll seem anxious. And think they're not grounded. So they'll have poor focus. They won't be able to put sentences together. They won't be able to, what's the other one? Discipline. So if you're deficient in your root chakra, you might give up on your self-care before anything else when things start feeling low in your life. The other thing to remember is also, this is our abundant chakra. This has to do with our financial security as well. So if you're not feeling abundant here, you're going to have that issue of where you're going to feel like you have financial difficulties. So think money here. And also, you're going to have very poor boundaries if you are not grounded. So think about it that way. So if I'm not grounded, I'm not going to have the appropriate boundaries up. If you're excessive in this area, I think you're going to be the opposite of here. So instead of underweight, you'll be overweight. You're going to be greedy. You're not going to share your money, things like that. You could have, you're going to have a fear of change. What else here? And you're going to feel pretty lazy. So basically, the issues that can arise in the root chakra, as you can tell, is going to be your grounding, feeling roots below you, making sure that you're nourished, trust, having trust in yourself. So trusting that whatever you feel is true. It's also going to be correlated to your health issues. Think about your physical growth and your motor skills. That all takes care of the home area. So issues at home with family. Issues with prosperity, like I said. So not feeling abundant in life. And then having the boundaries that we need. That's what we want in the root chakra. So those are the things we want to work on in the root chakra. When this is out of balance, physical things that could show up in the body. So think about the physical actual area. It could be disorders of going to the bathroom. So anything out of the bowel. Let's see here. It can also be connected to the solid parts of the body. So think foundation. The foundation of the body is the bones and the organs in the body. So, and your teeth are part of the bones as well. Issues with legs, issues with grounding. So think about the legs. So hip issues possibly, which can also be related to the sacral, but it could be the root as well. But your knees, the ankles, so the foundation of the body, the legs, so the base of the spine. And people can also have frequent illness. So not just a random illness, they keep having a continue illness. So think like autoimmune things. That is usually correlated to the root chakra. But when we're in balance in this area, we have vitality, we're in good health, we're feeling grounded, we're comfortable in our own body. We have trust in ourselves, we have trust in the universe, we have trust in other people. So you're also going to feel safe and secure. So you're not going to have any fear running through the body. Not that we all don't have it come up every once in a while, but for the most part. So you'll feel safe and secure. And think about it, when you're grounded, you can be still and connect. So feeling stable, you'll be prosperous, and you'll have a livelihood that you're very grateful for. So feeling that foundation. So the way to help yourself heal in this area with the root chakra is you want to reconnect with your body physically. So my big thing is always going to be my meditation practice, my practice. So the part of my practice in the morning where I'm feeling the ground, I'm connecting in the ground, things like that. You can also, so with the root chakra, when we're really fearful, people don't like to be touched if they're in a lot of fear. So to help balance out the root chakra, you would find a way for them to be able to get comfortable with at least even touching their physical body. So teaching them self-massage, or you go get some massage if you're okay with that. So everybody's different. So taking your hatha yoga, and then what's the last thing I have? And reclaim your right to be here. Everybody has a right to be here. That's why we were blessed with this human body to be here in this time. So remind yourselves, I am here to stay. A couple of affirmations you can use for the root chakra. It is safe for me to be here. I am grounded in my foundation. The earth supports me and meets my needs on every level, or you can pick out a certain thing you're working on. I love my body and I trust its wisdom. This is a big one for me. I love my body and I trust my wisdom. Even people get frustrated. I've had people come out of the woodwork right now because everybody gained weight during quarantine. Now everybody wants like a magical thing. We all gained weight. Relax. Trust that the universe was just showing you you weren't doing what you normally do to get up, move, and shake and bake and wake. You know, you gotta, it's just telling you, you need to find more movement and maybe not eat those certain snacks you were having all the time. But still, love your body and trust the wisdom it's showing you now. It's just another lesson. Let's see here. I am immersed in abundance. I love people using this one. I am immersed in abundance. I am abundant as fuck, as I tell people. You say that, you feel it, you believe it, everything that you want to call in a good vibe, it's coming. And the last one is I'm here and I'm real. So think about anything when it has to come to the roots and the earth. It's all going to be about the grounding, our financial security, our home, and our family. So all the things that most people do have issues with when they're first brought onto this earth. I mean, think about people who are adopted, people who only have one parent. You know, these are things that they all need to learn how to deal with this energy so it doesn't cause them problems later in life. Not that we can't fix it then, but if we can understand this energy and when it comes in and out of the body, we could possibly help people heal on a whole different level. All right. Let's see here. All right. Then we're going to move up. We're coming to our second chakra, which is going to be your sacral. Sadhisthana, as in yoga. So this element is going to be water. The color is orange. And think about it, it's water, so it's all about movement. So this is our emotional area. So think emotional, flow. And I say that especially for women. We're always emotional during our flow. There's a reason. It's in that area. It's totally normal. But this is all about self-gratification. So feeling all of the simple pleasures in life, feeling the flow of life, and embracing the flow of life. Our demon here that we are battling, as they call it, is our guilt. We develop our sacral. Let's see here, that's right. It's going to be 6 months. I think it's 2 years. Yep, 2 years. So this is why it's very important to connect with your kids and allow them to have their emotional fits and allow them to feel how they feel until they're 2 years old. Even though it comes in the form of screaming and yelling and things like that, it's all part of their process. Not just saying that all kids are like that, but I know that's how they communicate. So not shushing them when they need to tell us something and communicate in a different language. The location is going to be, so your lower abdomen. So in between the hips, think of. And our basic right to be here in the sacral area is to think, to feel and have pleasure. Some of us feel so guilty for enjoying the pleasures in life. This is the area we want to work through. So things that can cause this to be out of balance. So traumas and abuses that happen throughout life. Unfortunately, the top one is going to be sexual abuse. It's also emotional abuse in this area. And that emotional abuse can also trigger into the solar plexus as well. So remember, even though this is the core of each chakra, think that these can bleed or leak in to the chakra above or below. So sometimes these emotions can get mixed in other areas because energy is moving at all times. So if you're in a volatile situation, so think emotional abuse, so a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, just a bad environment to be in. Lack of mirroring. So people who are just telling someone else that they're the problem all the time and letting them take on all that energy. It's you, it's you, it's you, when it's really the other person. Emotional manipulation. Restricting normal movement. So like if a kid wants to be all flowy and crazy and someone's like, don't do that, don't be like that. That's kind of trigger or a trauma that you can put into a kid as well. So another seat of this area is a lot of people will carry a lot of guilt from possibly being part of a religion when they were younger maybe, and they decided to leave or things like that. That also can be a trauma and abuse in this area as well. So think that the religions are connected into this area. And then if you have anybody that has been an alcoholic in your family or in your life, that is going to affect your sacral tremendously as well. And the reason being, this is how I used to always remember it, your sacral is the water. Alcohol actually dehydrates you. So when we continue to drink, we're not hydrating ourselves appropriately. Unless you are a seasoned drinker and you know how to drink water when you drink alcohol. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just saying that, you know, I'm not against alcohol, but I'm just saying someone who drinks it all day, every day, and has a very unhealthy addiction to it, that is going to affect it. And I always think, because you're always the next day after drinking, if you don't hydrate, that's all you're going for. I need water, I need water. So when you are deficient in this area, you're going to be rigid in your attitude and body. So you might come off a little standoffish, not very emotional kind of type person. So you'll have poor social skills because of that. You're going to have a fear of sex. You're going to have a denial of pleasure. Yep. This is a big one. So excessive boundaries. So I'm just going to call them walls. So instead of having boundaries up, you end up putting up brick walls. And you'll have a lack of passion. And passion in the sexual way. So, but unfortunately, There's a little bit of creativity that flows in the sacral area as well. So the passion for life can also be connected and correlated with this as well. When you're excessive in this, think about the opposite. So you would have a sexual addiction. You'll have mood swings, strong and probably angry type of mood swings. You'll have no boundaries. And you'll become very attached to people. So you'll have no boundaries, and everybody you let in, you're going to overly attach to and become oversensitive with. So just thinking about the area that the sacral is in, so the physical malfunctions that you would find, it's going to be the reproductive system. So between the hips, anything that's in there. It's also the spleen is down there, your urinary tract area is down there. So if you have really bad cramps, menstruation, things like that. Let's see what else we got here, because I write an awful lot here. Okay. Low back pain. This can also be connected with knee trouble as well. And this sounds weird, but like dead senses. Like if you're not connected, you're not flowing, you're not going to feel anything. So it's just one of those people where they're like, I feel nothing, and everybody kind of laughs. They really don't. They're really not feeling anything because this area has been so depleted. And then let's see. And then you can also have a loss of appetite, but also a loss of appetite for sexual things as well. Now, if you were to go and you wanted to balance this out, now think about it. It's water. So we're going to need movement. We're going to need flow. So anything, maybe dancing, movement therapies, any type that you would come across. So doing emotional work. So one great thing I always like to tell people to do is emotional work, a full moon ceremony. So during the full moon energy, get all those emotions you've been trying to get out, whether they've been coming out or not, write them all down during the full moon and then burn them out to the sky and release them that way if you feel like they're not coming out. So this is it's great to do moon ceremonies to help heal the sacral. Also, so people with the alcoholism, the one thing that they can do is join a program. So like the 12-step if they have that somewhere. But finding healthy pleasures. So finding hobbies maybe. So something that gets you to have that passion, but maybe isn't in the bedroom for some out of balance things. So finding healthy pleasures. And then inner child work and boundary work. So a lot of this is going to have to do with a lot of things that we stuff down emotionally through our whole life. So doing some inner child work, forgiving yourself for the things that you let your inner child deal with. And then working on your boundaries. So making sure that it's not a brick wall, but that you have some in place. So finding that healthy medium. Then noticing that if you have affirmations for this chakra, you would have, I deserve pleasure in my life. So I am pleasure is even a more simple one. I embrace and celebrate my sexuality. And it doesn't have to be with a partner. It's just owning who you are sexually as a person. Just being, I am female, I am male, I am unidentified, whatever you want to call it. I move easily and effortlessly through life. Life is pleasurable. Things like that. Calling that type of energy in. Now, when it comes to addictions, it all does start in the sacral area, but depending on what addiction you decide to go for is going to show what kind of chakra energy related it is. I will take a picture and send this to you because I'm not going to write it all out. But so addictions that are related to the chakras. So people who are addicted to spiritual practices or religion, that is life, that is everything they do, that is going to be in your crown chakra. So someone who is addicted to spiritual practices, can't see outside anything else, their religion is their religion type of people, that kind of addiction is going to reside in the crown chakra. In your third eye chakra, the thing that people are going to be addicted to is hallucinogens. So like DMT or anything you're going to see stuff on, peyote, ayahuasca, I don't know all of the stuff, but things like that, there is a time and a place. But if you're taking them all the time, or mushrooms, if you're taking them all the time, it's gonna be correlated to the third eye. So someone has an addiction to opening their third eye and they don't know how to do it, so they're looking for help elsewhere. Your throat chakra is going to be correlated to opiates. So over the counter, unfortunately, so anything that's going to make them feel like a painkiller type thing, that's related to the throat chakra, because they've never been able to speak before, so they're just going to feel numb. The heart is going to be an addiction in tobacco, so cigarettes, and also sugar. So if you have a sugar addiction, it's going towards the heart area. If you go down and we hit the solar plexus, it's going to be those real hyper ones. So like caffeine, your amphetamines, your things that make you go like real crazy. So basically that want to bring anger out of you. So anything real high energy type of addiction. And then, like I said, for the sacral, it is alcohol and sex, but it is also connected to heroin in this area as well. So the deepest opiate you could do. And then your root has to do with materialistic things. So it'd be food or shopping in the root area. So those are the things people get addicted to there. But once we're balanced in the root chakra, it's a beautiful, beautiful process. We have graceful movement. We have emotional intelligence. We have the ability to experience pleasure in all paths of life. We have a nurturing a nurturing sense for ourselves and for others, and wanting other people to feel pleasure in the flow of life. And then we also have healthy boundaries here, and we have a healthy want to grow and to connect and to change. So it's okay if you go with the flow of life and things change. We're like, okay, it's cool. We'll just go on to the next. So that's kind of where that energy is at. Sweet, sweet. Sweet, sweet. All right. Questions about the root or the sacral so far? The smallest.
No questions.
I figured. Usually when you're quiet, that usually means that. I just don't turn around because I'm erasing with the smallest eraser in the world, and I don't have any towels down here, so. And I won't waste tissues. Save the earth! All right, we're gonna do one more chakra and then take a bathroom break if that's okay.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Excelente. We are going to talk about the third chakra, our solar plexus. Our lustrous gem, the mana pura. So think about it, it's the gem. So it lights up just like fire because it is the fire element. Although the color is yellow, because most people think fire are orange and red, but this is all going to be connected with transformation. So transformation and watching and keeping our ego in check. So we're going to put ego in check here. So not walking around and telling everybody how much you've transformed and how great you are. So watching that fine line. Our demon here is going to be shame. Shame from ourselves and shame from others. And this develops from 18 months to 4 years. And our claim here is to act and be an individual. So this is where we're going to really talk about our authenticity. So for here, let's see here, our issues are going to be your energy, your activity level. If you're doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result when you want a different one. So individualization, feeling your willpower, self-esteem. So power, your power center. Traumas and abuses that can actually correlate into the solar plexus area, like we said, is the shame. So people aren't going to like authoritarianism as well. So people who are up there always telling them what to do, not letting them have any individuality. You are to do this, this, and this, and nothing else. This is your game plan. So thinking of taking their will away, physical abuse or dangerous environments. Also having a fear of punishment. So not telling somebody how you feel because you're fear of the way they're going to react or come back at you. So confrontation has a lot to do with this area as well. It also affects the throat, but we're going to say here as well. So age inappropriate responsibilities. So people putting their energy on you when they don't need to be at certain times. And then also having inherent shame, like I said, from your ancestors or things like that. When we're deficient here, we have low energy. We're weak-willed. Low self-esteem. We're easily manipulated. The victim mentality. You're passive and unreliable. So we've all met somebody who is unfortunately deficient and excessive in their solar plexus. So the excessive one, they're going to come off really aggressive towards you. So they're going to come aggressive. They're going to seem dominating and controlling in that sense as well. They're going to have to be right. They're the I'm going to get in the last type, I'm going to get in the last word type of people. Instead of being easily manipulated, they're manipulative. I say the excessive solar plexus people can be very closely related to narcissists. And this is when they're also attracted to, I'm sorry, it's not right. Oh, when they have excessive energy in their solar plexus too, they can have outbursts out of nowhere, but they're going to be violent outbursts, like wanting to swing at people. So think like violent, but doesn't mean they're going to get aggressive. Although that's part of it. Doesn't mean they're actually going to put their hands on somebody, is what I should say. So it's more of like a violent outburst, like a temper tantrum, basically. You're going to notice when they're excessive, they're going to be super stubborn as well. Since they have to be right, that's going to go right along with that. They're going to come off arrogant, competitive. A little competitive is fine, but they're also, when they're excessive in there, they're going to come off like a type A personality because they are controlling and have to have all their ducks in a row and things like that. So maybe even a little bit of OCD could be thrown in here as well. And then thinking about where the area is, it is in the stomach area, so a little bit higher up. It's not quite it's in part of the small intestine. So think digestion, just basically. So eating disorders, anything in the digestive line tract. Hypoglycemia, so people who their blood sugar drops or it rises. So hypoglycemia could be in this area. This is also connected to diabetes. Hypertension, so muscle related. Things in the solar plexus, when you're out of balance, you might feel it in their other muscles of the body as well. What else we got here? Anything interesting? Oh, yes. Ulcers and chronic fatigue are the last two. So ulcers in the stomach area, but it also could be ulcers in the mouth because sometimes that is correlated to the stomach. Ulcers in the mouth can also be throat chakra type things as well. But when you're balanced in this area, you're responsible, you're reliable, you have a will, you have an excellent self-esteem, you have a balanced ego, you feel strength, so you're strong and you are, well, maybe not strong physically, but you're strong in your personality. So your authenticity, like I keep saying, you know who you are. You have a warm personality, you feel confident, you can be very playful. So your flirtiness can come from your solar plexus area as well. And also your sense of humor. When you have this in balance, it's going to be easy for you to be disciplined. So a lot of times this is also going to have to do with if you're not doing your self-care and your practice, it could be out of balance here because you don't have the will or drive to get up or do it. So it can be connected to different areas. But when you feel your personal power, you're going to be able to meet any challenge of life, whether the result is what you expect it to be or not, but you will rise up. In order to heal this area, so you would, transformation. So in order to transform, you gotta get a little uncomfortable. So take some risk. You know, I've always wanted to try this. Do it. Have the will to do it now. Things like that. Let's see. You'd have a relaxation through you. So finding a relaxation practice that's going to bring, yeah, because this can be totally related to your stress area too. So just finding practices of meditation or maybe nidra would really help this area as well, to help you just to lay down and reconnect. Martial arts is the top thing for the solar plexus. So think about any kind of martial art type of practice where it's very slow, but it's all about finding your confidence without muscle. I know that sounds weird, but in martial arts, if you look at these guys' body type, they're not lifting weights, they're not doing things like that. They're learning so much discipline that it's bringing the strength within throughout. So karate is an excellent practice for the solar plexus. Also vigorous exercise, so really get that fire up. So vinyasa practice, maybe running or doing like a real challenging course like American Ninja Warrior, something like that. That'll really be a great healing practice for the solar plexus area. And then affirming within you that you honor the power within you. And I honor the power within others. Another affirmation would be, I can do whatever I will to do. So whatever I put a will behind, I can do it, and I will do it. The fire within me burns all blocks and fears away. That's another great one. So using the actual elements and then saying it's burning everything away. Because our low energy, like I said, could be related to any of our chakras, really, if it gets deficient enough. So, and then another great one is I accomplish and tackle tasks easily. I know what I want and I go for it. Beautiful. We good on the solar plexus? Excellent. All right. Hang tight, and then we'll do part 2 in a moment, but I'm just going to stop recording for 1 sec. Or not.